Developing right now on Morning News Now, a time of mourning in Vatican City and for the Catholic Church worldwide following the death of Pope Francis. This morning, the Pope's body lying in a coffin in the chapel of the Domus Santa Marta Hotel where he lived. Then starting tomorrow, his body will be moved to St. Peter's Basilica, where the Vatican now says a public viewing will be held before his funeral, just set for Saturday morning. All this as the world pays tribute to the Holy Father and the legacy he leaves behind.
Pope Francis was a messenger of hope, humility, and humanity. Our divided and discordant world will be a much better place if we follow his example of unity and mutual understanding in our own actions.
Now, new questions about the future of one of the most powerful religious organizations in the world. We have a lot to get to on all this on this Tuesday. Good morning. I'm Savannah Saunders. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Stephen Romo in for Joe today. And let's get right to that team coverage on the death of Pope Francis, including new details about his funeral and what comes next for the Catholic Church. And we begin with NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga joining us now from Vatican City with more on this. Claudio, good morning to you. So these new details are slowly starting to come out about the Pope's funeral. What have we learned about those plans?
Steve, Savannah, good morning. Well, that's absolutely right. In the last couple of hours, the Vatican laid out the plan for the next few days. Tomorrow morning, they say that the Pope Francis's coffin, which is right now in the chapel of Santa Marta, that is the residence where he's been residing in since day one of his pontificate inside the Vatican, is going to be moved through a procession at 9 o'clock in the morning, Rome time, through St. Peter's Square and then inside St. Peter's Basilica. After that, the pilgrims will be able to start lining up to pay their last respects for at least a couple of days, at least until Friday evening, because then on Saturday morning, as you mentioned, the funeral will take place in St. Peter's Square at about 10 in the morning. That is 2 o'clock at night, 2 a.m. in Easter time. Now, we already know that Donald Trump has already announced that he will participate with Melania. We already had confirmation that the Ukrainian President Zelensky and the First Lady will also participate alongside, I'm sure, many other world leaders, because this was a pope that was not only loved by the faithful, he was also respected by leaders around the world. And then, of course, the cardinals will have to decide the date of the conclave, which will take place at some stage between the 5th and the 10th of May. Savannah, Stephen?
Claudio, you know, the Pope, he had obviously been hospitalized. He had been quite sick for a period of time just recently. But then, you know, he was seen in public on Easter Sunday. He chose to kind of make that surprise route where he rode the Pope mobile. He gave these Easter greetings to thousands of people there at the Vatican. So it has been a little bit of a surprise to some people. What do we know about the Pope's death, about what ultimately happened Sunday night, Monday morning?
Yeah, absolutely, Savannah. I was here on Sunday covering Easter Mass, and I was also surprised to see him getting on that Pope mobile and cheering the crowd and greeting the crowds here. They were all ecstatic. They couldn't believe that not only they were seeing him getting on a Pope mobile, something he hasn't done since he left hospital more than a month ago. So really, everybody thought that he was getting better. He was on the way to full recovery. And then the shocking news less than 24 hours later that he died. Now, last night, the Vatican has announced the official cause of death. They said that he suffered a stroke that then led to a coma and then to an irreversible heart failure. Now, they did mention, of course, that he was suffering from complications from that bilateral pneumonia. But the official cause of death, Savannah, is a stroke and then an irreversible heart failure.
And Claudio, the death of a pope, it sets off a series of rituals and traditions, not just having to do with the funeral you mentioned, but also with the process of selecting a new pope. So much goes into this. Walk us through some of what will happen next.
Yeah, absolutely. Between the 5th and the 10th of May, the conclave will take place. Now, this is one of the longest running medieval, almost and secretive rites from the Catholic Church, and in any institutions around the world, everything is laid out very clearly. And on the first day of the conclave, the cardinals, electors, who are the cardinals who are 80 or younger, there's 135 of them right now from all over the world, they will go inside the Sistine Chapel, the doors will lock, and then they will be essentially they will not have any access to the outside world, not to be influenced by the media, by the people, and then they will have to decide by taking a vote, 2 votes a day, who they think should become the next pontiff. Now, for someone to be elected pontiff, they should reach a 2/3 majority +1. Now, if it's a no vote, then you will see from a chimney that is going to be temporarily placed on the top of the Sistine Chapel, black smoke. If they choose a pope, then we will see, of course, white smoke. Well, as I like to say, black smoke, nope, white smoke, pope. Savannah, Stephen.
Very easy to remember that way, yeah, for sure. Claudio, thanks so much.
Thank you, Claudio. Great reporting since this has all happened. Well, for more on what's next for the church, let's bring in Bill Kavanaugh. He is a professor of Catholic Studies and director of the Center for World Catholicism and Intercultural Theology at DePaul University. Bill, good morning. Thanks very much for joining us. So, there's been a lot of talk about Pope Francis's style, right? He was far more progressive than his predecessor, Pope Benedict. But give us some specifics here. Tell us about how his papacy differed from those before him.
Well, in one way, I think you could say that while Pope Benedict XVI emphasized clarity, Pope Francis emphasized charity. So rather than Pope Benedict thought a lot about relativism and the lack of a sense of truth in the modern era, and thought that was the main problem, was getting clear on the doctrine. And Pope Francis, in some ways, although he doesn't really deviate from the doctrine very much from Benedict XVI, I think he thought that you've got to touch the heart before you can touch the mind. And so charity is the kind of love that he showed, I think, is really his emphasis. You've got to get back to the basics and touch people's hearts before you can get down to the issues of doctrine.
It's fascinating hearing all of the people around the Pope who've come out and spoken about him. Cardinal Michael Czerny was a close aide to the Pope. This is some of what he had to say about the Pope's work.
I hope that the dialogues will continue, because he opened new frontiers of dialogue, and he based them mostly on real relationships, not just on exchange of ideas or exchange of policies. And so hopefully these bonds will continue and perdure, and we will learn to live together as brothers and sisters.
So, Bill, a lot of people are looking at this. Where do you think the cardinals will go from here? Will they follow Francis' more progressive vision for the church, or will we see a return to more traditionalists when they choose a new pope?
Well, I think this conclave in some ways is particularly difficult to handicap in advance. In 2005, Cardinal Ratzinger was the clear front runner, and he came out as Benedict XVI. But it doesn't seem like there is a clear front runner here. And you would think that because more than 80% of the voting cardinals were named by Pope Francis, you would think that there would be a kind of continuity. But there are several things that make it difficult to predict. One is that the cardinals really don't know each other. He's picked so many cardinals from peripheral areas, Mongolia and Central African Republic and so on, that have not spent a lot of time in the Vatican, so they don't really know each other, and usually they pick a pope from amidst the College of Cardinals. And they're also not neatly divided into camps. I mean, I think people tend to think about these matters in terms of, Republicans versus Democrats or something like that, progressives versus conservatives. And you pretty much could have predicted that the Republicans were not going to elect Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker of the House again. But it doesn't work that way in the Catholic Church. They're not divided neatly into conservatives and progressives. But some cardinals might be very conservative on issues of sex and gender, but very what we would call liberal on issues of war and peace and church governance and economics and things like that. And so it's really hard to predict where exactly this is going to go.
Professor, with that in mind and the fact you say there's not a clear frontrunner, are there some top contenders you could familiarize us with to replace him?
Sure, there are names that are floated, and I think some of the more intriguing names are those of places in the global south. So, as you know, the center of gravity of the church has shifted over the last century from the global north to the global south. And so Pope Francis was the first pope from the global south, Latin America. And a lot of people think that the next contender could come from a different region of the global south. So you've got Cardinal Turkson, for example, from Ghana, who has had some leading roles in the Vatican. He helped Pope Francis write the encyclical on the environment, Laudato Si. You've got Cardinal Tagle from the Philippines, who's often been called the Asian Francis, because his style is very humble and he's very close to the poor. And so that's another possibility. It's always possible, of course, that people could think, well, it's time to right the ship and we need to go back to Italian popes like we had for centuries. And so there are contenders like Cardinal Zuppi of Bologna, who is very much like Pope Francis, living very modestly and very close to the people.
Bill Kavanaugh, fascinating conversation. We appreciate your time and your expertise this morning. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Some financial news to get to now. U.S. stocks suffered a rough start to the week, and that comes after President Trump renewed his attacks on Fed Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, raising questions about the central bank's independence.
Investors also continue to be weighed down by concerns over the president's tariffs, of course, amid fears the trade war could lead to a global economic downturn. As you can see here on your screen right now, all three major U.S. markets ended the day down more than 2%.
NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung joins us now with more on this. Brian, good to have you with us to help us understand all this. So what did we see in the markets yesterday, and what are we seeing shaping up for today?
Yeah, it was another sell-off, which just underscores just how volatile these markets remain after we had those concerns about the tariff talks, and obviously that introducing a lot of uncertainty for investors that don't know what the tariff policies are going to be in the next few days or even weeks. But you also have that compounded now with the concerns that the economic steward in the form of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell may be under the hot seat here with, the president now hammering his policies and criticizing the Federal Reserve not lowering interest rates through a number of Truth Social posts, most recently, which came yesterday in the morning, where he described the Fed chair as someone who is too late. He described him as a major loser. Again, this is someone that I want to remind people is someone that the president had nominated in his first term to lead the central bank. You can see that long Truth Social post ahead of there, clearly not happy with the fact that he didn't lower interest rates in their last meeting. But again, the question here is, does this put the Federal Reserve in a tough bind? If they lower interest rates, that can make inflation worse.
And explain the importance of the central bank having independence and why this type of scrutiny from the president could freak the markets out.
Yeah, well, you think about the economy, basically there are two keys that, different bodies have the ability to kind of unlock when it comes to steering what the economy does. The first is the fiscal agents, or what you call the White House and Congress. They pass policies, they pass certain laws that can stimulate or even pull back on an economic, growth. But when it comes to the Federal Reserve, they have their own key, which is interest rates, to kind of steer, okay, well, based off of what these borrowing costs are, we can also slow or quicken the economy. Now, the reason for why the Federal Reserve structure gives it a certain level of independence is because you don't want to worry about a president that's going to pressure the Federal Reserve chairman into doing certain things with interest rates and fixing their policies to align with what they're doing, because that could really lead to a lot of consolidation over controlling the entire economy. So I think that with the Federal Reserve, they are independent. There is questions about whether or not the president can fire the Fed chair, as he has suggested he might be interested in doing. That would likely have to go to the Supreme Court, even though there have been some recent Supreme Court rulings where they maybe have suggested that even the president can fire independent directors, even at independent agencies. We'll have to see.
Something to watch. The two keys analogy, that really helps understand
Yeah,
it. I
exactly.
like that. I have not heard that. In the background of all of this, we also have the trade tensions that are ongoing between China and the United States. Has there been any progress there? Anything to show for the tariff troubles that we've been seeing?
Well, there have been conversations. So J.D. Vance in India having conversations with several high-level officials there. And then there are also plans this week in Washington, I believe, for for South Korean officials to have conversations with the Americans as well. So yes, there are conversations being had with these countries that the United States has said they want to unilaterally negotiate these trade deals with. But the problem is that we haven't seen any sort of market progress in terms of anything on paper. There have been no agreements. There have been no trade deals, even though we have been, a few days into these tariff talks. So we'll have to see.
Brian Chung, thank you very much. Two keys. Love it. Let's bring in NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez for more on this. Hi, Gabe. Good morning. So let's start where Brian just left off, this concern over tariffs, of course. President Trump did meet yesterday in the Oval Office at the White House, with several retail CEOs. What can you tell us about that meeting? These are the people, these are the companies where they're going to start feeling these prices, then pass it on to the consumer or not. What are they telling the president?
Hey there, Savannah. Good morning. Yeah, the president meeting with those top CEOs. This meeting was not on his public schedule, but there were CEOs from Walmart, Target, and Home Depot. And one source told CNBC that a representative from Lowe's was supposed to be there, but for some reason was not in attendance. But those three CEOs released pretty much identical statements saying that they had a productive meeting with the president and plan to continue talking here. But this is hugely significant for those retail giants, Savannah, because their business model is essentially very import heavy. So, of course, these tariffs could have big implications for their businesses, which really has a ripple effect across the economy, Savannah.
And Gabe, got to ask you about Pete Hegseth. President Trump again standing behind the defense secretary in light of the new information which we reported on yesterday that he allegedly used that personal phone to send information about U.S. military operations in Yemen. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, and two sources familiar with the matter say that there were family members on that chat. There was his wife as well as his brother and personal lawyer, who both of them work at the Pentagon. But certainly you'd expect Democrats to come out and call for his resignation. But overnight, we saw the first Republican to do so, Congressman Don Bacon of Nebraska, basically saying, "I find it unacceptable. I wouldn't tolerate it if I was in charge." And he also added he's acting like he's above the law, and it shows that he's an amateur person. However, President Trump yesterday was asked about this at the Easter egg roll at the White House. Here was his response.
He is doing a great job. Why do you still have confidence? Because he's doing a great job. Ask the Houthis how he's doing. Ask the Houthis how much this function is done. Pete's doing a great job. Everybody's happy with him.
And Secretary Hegseth himself was asked about this at that Easter egg roll as well, and he says he and the president are on the same page. Stephen and Savannah.
Yeah, gave quite a defiant response there when he was asked. Gabe, if we could switch gears just before we let you go, this is something a lot of people might be interested in. First time in 5 years, the Department of Education says it's resuming involuntary repayment of federal student loans that are in default. That stopped back in 2020 because of the COVID pandemic, but obviously there's been a lot of talk about student loan repayment between the two administrations that we've seen, the Biden administration and now the Trump administration. What do we know here?
Yeah, and this could be hugely significant for millions of Americans. The Education Department estimates more than 5 million Americans are in default of their student loans. That number could rise to about 10 million over the next couple of months. But yes, as you said, back during the pandemic, those collection of student loans was paused. Now the Education Department says that collection will begin through the Treasury Department's offset program, and that could mean wages could be garnished after a 30-day warning. Again, this is hugely significant. The Trump administration trying to make it so that as they call it, the education secretary says American taxpayers will no longer be forced to serve as collateral for irresponsible student loan policies. Savannah and Stephen.
All right, Gabe Gutierrez, thank you very much.
Well, Harvard University is going on the offense in its battle with President Trump. The Ivy League school suing the administration in response to the government freezing more than $2 billion in federal grants.
In a statement, Harvard's president, that's Alan Garber, he accused the Trump administration of making illegal demands and attempting to exert unprecedented control over the school. He warned of the, quote, the consequences of the government's overreach will be severe and long-lasting. The complaint accuses the government of violating the First Amendment and asks a federal judge to declare President Trump's freeze order unconstitutional. The freeze was announced last week after Harvard rejected a list of demands which the Trump administration says are aimed at addressing anti-Semitism on campus.
NBC News legal analyst Angela Cianadella is here to help us break all of this down. Angela, thanks for being here. So the Trump administration also has cases going on in a similar situation with Princeton and Columbia. What does Harvard say is happening here, and how is the administration framing it?
So Harvard received this list of demands from the government, and they were sweeping these reforms and changes that were required by the government at every level, from governance to leadership, hiring, admissions practices, the elimination of DEI, having viewpoint diversity across every field, across every department at the university. So thus a change in faculty hiring practices, also a change in international admissions practices, saying that students who represented any viewpoint that might be hostile to American values could not be admitted, et cetera. So a lot of these changes. Now, obviously, though, the government here is saying that their goal here is just to limit anti-Semitism, to stop it, to prevent it. But the sweeping changes that they are asking for really go far beyond that.
So I mentioned a moment ago in this lawsuit, Harvard saying that it's a violation of the First Amendment. Walk us through their legal case, and how strong do you think it is?
Look, it's pretty strong. So they are saying that they are a private university, which means they are a private actor, which means that the government can't direct their speech, can't tell them what sorts of ideology that they have to include or not include. And so this is the heart of the First Amendment. They also say being a university, being a place where discourse is encouraged, that makes it even more of an alleged violation. Now, the second thing, though, that they're really arguing here, though, is a violation of process. And we're seeing this across all the lawsuits that are being given against the administration right now, that they had rights to be heard, to have a hearing before this funding was taken from them. Again, we've heard that in immigration, we've heard that in DOJ layoffs, et cetera, that the government is maybe taking money away without following the process that they are really allowed to under law.
It'll be fascinating to see how this plays out. Harvard saying that these actions from the administration would affect research in many areas, medicine, science, technology. From a legal perspective, how do you think the case is shaping up to remove Harvard's tax-exempt status?
Okay, so the IRS traditionally has a lot of discretion to take away this status when they want to, and they have in the past, for example, with Bob Jones University, when they were banning interracial relationships on campus. But at that point, the Supreme Court said because that was against national public policy, that was okay. I think we're going to see this go all the way up to the Supreme Court. And I think the judges are going to say some of these demands are okay, others are unconstitutional, and it's going to be a battle to define what those parameters are.
Wow.
A lot of implications there. All right, Angela Cianadella, thanks so much.
Thanks, Angela. Good to see you. Well, the gunman who killed 23 people in a mass shooting at an El Paso Walmart more than 5 years ago is now pleading guilty to state charges of capital murder. Patrick Crucius admitted to targeting Hispanic shoppers when he opened fire in 2019 in what became one of the deadliest mass shootings in history. He officially changed his plea after prosecutors took the death penalty off the table. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole and already faces 90 consecutive life terms after pleading guilty to federal hate crime and weapons charges. The prosecutor's decision to decline to seek the death penalty came because a majority of the victims' families want the case to be over, many of whom were at the hearing yesterday.
All right, time now for a look at your Morning News Now weather. We're still tracking some severe storms across Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas today.
We've got Angie Lastman in studio with us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hi, guys. Good morning to you. We've got a bit of an active kind of afternoon that'll set up in a small part of the country, but we've got still some thunderstorms happening already early this morning across parts of the upper Midwest. Notice parts of the southeast and stretching up into the northeast. We still have some lingering showers. The good news, out west, things are quiet. Most of us are waking up quiet across parts of the southwest, or parts of the south, rather. And that's going to stay that way for a little while longer before we really start to see this Gulf moisture kind of ramp up and the potential for some stronger storms to develop as the day goes on. Here's the area that we're watching, stretching from basically northern Kansas all the way down to parts of the border of Texas. We'll likely see some of these supercells developing with this, and that means large hail. We could see some strong winds. Tornadoes will be isolated, but still the potential will be there. And of course, some of that rain. Be mindful, though, that we'll have the potential too across parts of Louisiana, which saw an ample amount of rain yesterday. So the concern for flooding will be there. Here's where we go tomorrow. Still some severe storms, a much smaller area that we're going to look at. Still parts of Texas, but now a sliver of New Mexico involved in that as well. And the timing of this looks to be later into the day. So we're talking late afternoon, early evening, the potential for some of those thunderstorms to fire up. Hail, winds, still the potential there. Now, we do have that flood threat. This is a look at today. It's not all that impressive as far as where our rainfall amounts will land for for today. But because we had so much rain yesterday across this region, it's not going to be hard for us to see the potential for some of that flooding once again in the New Orleans area, specifically stretching back to Lafayette as well. So parts of southern Louisiana included in this. And we could see some spots that pick up maybe an inch or two of rain in an hour. So those rainfall rates will be quite impressive. Big picture look, I think maybe an inch to 2 inches for more widespread areas, but still the potential is there for parts of Louisiana to pick up upwards of 5 inches in some of these locations. And that's going to be, of course, the concern for the flooding through the day today and even tomorrow. As far as our temperatures go, I think a lot of people are happy with this. Anyone that has been waiting for spring across parts of the east, well, it has arrived in some spots temperature-wise. Upper 70s for St. Louis today, low 80s for our friends in Wichita. We've got the mid 80s for Dallas, and even along the East Coast, upper 70s for New York City. We're running above normal for this time of year, and we're going to keep that going into tomorrow, too. 70s from Philadelphia to Roanoke, Columbus, even Milwaukee into the low 60s. Not a bad day for us for tomorrow. It'll still be short sleeve kind of weather as we round out our work week across this region. And you can see even as we get a little cooler Thursday into Friday in New York City, we're really just going to end up into those upper 60s. Not bad for this time of year. 90s on tap for Tallahassee by Saturday. 80s for Memphis both Thursday and Friday. And even Omaha, again, seeing a bit of a cool down where we go from the 70s, but just ending up into those upper 60s by Friday and Saturday. One treat, we do have a meteor shower that's going to peak tonight. The Lyrid meteor shower. Ooh, Savannah, I got your attention. Listen up, guys. Nice sky conditions for parts of the upper Midwest. We'll still see some partly cloudy skies, so not all that great. I mean, you're still going to have to look through some of these clouds, but out west, we'll see a couple of these clouds. Of course, the stormy and cloudy conditions are going to last across parts of the south, but really one of the better places to be is going to be Florida. Unfortunately, we'll still see some clouds in the sky across parts of the northeast, but I think you guys could get out there, maybe give it a whirl, see if you can see
What's
some
the timing?
meteors. Late tonight. I don't know if it's going to work for your early morning news schedule,
Probably
like mine.
But
And if I get up and give it a shot and lose sleep and it's cloudy,
yeah,
going to be on the hook for that.
Yeah.
These clouds are continuously disappointing here. I just
I
like to
agree.
lodge my complaints to you. but-
Yeah.
Well, I'll take them.
Okay.
I always do.
All right,
Thank
Angie,
you.
thanks so much.
You got it.
Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, Uber under fire. The rideshare company accused of signing customers up for paid subscriptions without their consent. The lawsuit just filed by the FTC.
Up first, though, after the break, terror on the tarmac. The investigation underway into this fire on a Delta Airlines plane just as it was leaving the gate. Stay with us.
Back now with some scary moments for passengers on board a Delta Airlines flight. The FAA is investigating why the plane's engine caught fire just as it was leaving the gate in Orlando yesterday. It forced passengers to flee that aircraft. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has those details.
At Orlando International, fire on the ramp.
We're calling the fire truck right now. We'll do that. Thank you very much.
The right side engine on a fully loaded Delta Airlines flight spewing flames just moments after pushing back from the gate.
There's obviously people on that plane.
As pilots quickly shut off fuel to the engine, passengers evacuated the jumbo jet down emergency slides. The process slowed, with passengers only able to evacuate from the left side of the plane.
Please take your time going down the stairs.
On board the Orlando to Atlanta flight, Channing Wells and her 9-year-old son returning home after a Disney cruise.
So you had everyone in the back of the plane in a panic trying to rush to the front. And then all of a sudden you start smelling the smoke and different things like that. And then everyone was panicking.
Firefighters quickly doused the flames as passengers gathered on the ramp. Delta says the highly unusual fire happened in the engine's tailpipe.
In my many years of flying, tailpipe fires are very rare. I was trained for it, but in all my years, I never had a tailpipe fire.
The latest in a string of high-profile aviation incidents this year that have flyers on edge. Meanwhile, another Delta flight declared an emergency and landed back in Orlando after experiencing a cabin pressure issue over Jacksonville. Delta says all affected passengers are being rebooked. Back to you.
Scary stuff. Tom, thank you.
Gosh, it really is. Well, let's get back to our top story. Around the world, the faithful are mourning the death of Pope Francis.
NBC's Matt Bodner joins us with reactions and new tributes that are pouring in. Matt, good morning.
Stephen, Savannah, good morning. Tributes to the late Pope Francis continue to pour in from around the world, solidifying his legacy as a man of peace and an icon of humility. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that, quote, Pope Francis was a transcendent voice for peace, human dignity, and social justice. This message has been echoed by many, including King Charles, who was actually one of the last leaders to meet with the Pope. In a statement, the king said of Francis, quote, his belief that care for creation is an existential expression of faith in God resounded with so many across the world. Through his work and care for both people and planet, he profoundly touched the lives of so many. Moving along now to Argentina, birthplace of Pope Francis. Argentines yesterday held a special mass in the Buenos Aires Cathedral where Francis was once Archbishop. Jorge Garcia Cuerva, the current Archbishop, said, quote, the Pope of the poor has left us, the Pope of the marginalized. He insisted on building bridges. He insisted that we live in universal brotherhood. The Pope was our father, the father of the poor, the father of mercy. The best tribute that we Argentines can pay to Francis is to unite. And finally, we go to Paris, where the lights of the Eiffel Tower were shut off last night in memory of Pope Francis. The lights were switched off around midnight last night, and the tower was kept dark for several minutes. French President Emmanuel Macron yesterday was among the first to mark the Pope's passing. Macron said of Francis, quote, from Buenos Aires to Rome, Pope Francis wanted the church to bring joy and hope to the poorest. May it unite people with each other and with nature. May this hope continually revive beyond him. Back to you guys.
All right, Matt Bodner, thank you very much. Well, coming up, outbreak alert. Cases of whooping cough and the measles are up nationwide. What doctors want you to know and how you can keep your family healthy.
And are you feeling lonely? Believe it or not, you are not alone. The eye-opening study on loneliness and how age may play a role. Your weekly check-in is next on Morning News Now.
We are back with a health alert from officials as whooping cough surges in the U.S.
Yeah, concerning stuff. So far this year, there have been more than 8,000 cases reported, which is more than double the number of cases this time last year. Experts say vaccine hesitancy is playing a big role in that spike.
NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel is here with some tips to help keep you healthy and safe. Dr. Patel, good morning. So is that what's driving this, vaccine hesitancy, or is there other things at play?
It really is a combination of primarily vaccine hesitancy and then the fact that we really do depend on all people kind of getting vaccinated around individuals who can't to create that community immunity. Those two things combined. But really, the vaccine rates have declined double digits in many of the states that have been affected around the country.
Well, and those numbers actually make a lot of sense. And pneumonia is one of the most common complications of whooping cough, and it can even be deadly. So what can people do to lower their risk other than obviously vaccination?
Obviously getting vaccinated. Most children, we recommend getting vaccinated under the age of 1 for whooping cough. It's part of a series that you might have recalled from the pharmacy or doctor called DTaP. Diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis. The P in pertussis refers to the bacteria that causes whooping cough. And so it's called whooping cough because children, infants especially under the age of 1, cough so frequently that in order to take a breath in, they have to take a big whoop, and you hear that kind of classic whooping cough. Candidly, guys, it's something we don't see a lot anymore. So even recognizing it can be a little difficult initially. So parents should be on the alert if their children are not vaccinated or if many household members are not vaccinated.
Another outbreak, we've been talking a lot about measles. We have some new numbers here. I mean, it was declared, first of all, back in 2000 as eliminated, and now we're seeing this happen here. More than 800 people have had measles since the beginning of the year. Most of them were unvaccinated, but it actually turns out a small portion had gotten the vaccine. So how are breakthrough cases like that happening, and how much of a concern is that?
So I like to describe this to people. Think about kind of the breakthrough cases. We know they'll happen. So a vaccine isn't 100% proof. However, when about 90 people around you get vaccinated, even if you are unvaccinated, you're usually protected. If the majority of people are not vaccinated and can get sick, you're the one vaccinated, you're still getting all these multiple exposures. It's a little bit like having multiple abilities for the virus to infect you. So at some point, even in someone vaccinated, it gets through. However, there have not been any cases of deaths or serious hospitalizations in vaccinated individuals. So in that regard, the vaccine's holding up. It's doing what it's protecting you to do. We never promise that it protects you from ever getting infected like COVID, but it protects you from the things you don't want, like the pneumonia and the hospitalizations, the brain effects, and death, of course.
All right. Good advice there. Dr. Patel, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, time now for our weekly mental health check-in. And there's a troubling new study out this morning about loneliness and middle-aged Americans.
That's right. Plus, also, you know, you can kind of get the chills when you hear your favorite song come on. This morning, we have more on the science of so-called pleasure chills.
Way more interesting. I like that one. Joining us now to discuss the latest mental health headlines is Dr. Sue Varma. She is a board-certified psychiatrist and author of the book Practical Optimism. So glad to have you with us, Doctor. Let's start with that new study by Emory University. Now, this looked at people aged 50 to 90 years old in 29 countries and found that although older people suffer the worst from loneliness in most countries, in America, it's actually middle-aged people who are the most lonely. Why do you think that is, and how can people try to address those feelings?
You know, this was really surprising, and what we're finding that there are a few factors that make Americans in the middle age years more prone to this. One is the fact that we have so much emphasis on individuality and over, socialization. So the value of I need to be able to figure this out by myself, or there's something wrong with me, that contributes. Plus, people in the middle ages of their life are also in the sandwich generation. So they are taking care of often either young children or those that are in college and struggling with their adolescents' mental health, but then also taking care of aging parents. Also, people in the middle age may be dropping out of the workforce. Either they are let go, people say, oh, they're making too much money, we don't want them in the workplace anymore, they're losing their job, there's job insecurity, and we know that job loss is a huge contributor to loneliness. So a variety of factors could play, but that doesn't mean that we can't lean in. We're seeing the rise of third spaces all over the country in the form of bookstores and book clubs and cafes and opportunities, whether it is volunteering, civic engagement, a religious institution that you once used to belong to, take up pickleball. There's a variety of ways. One of my patients last night was like, I love ping pong. I'm like, please go do that. Table tennis, whatever floats your boat. But we need to get out there. It is work, but it requires some degree of intention, and then it comes.
Yeah, sometime back we had such an interesting conversation about how clubs can actually help eliminate loneliness and kind of change your attitude altogether. Really cool. Okay, we also want to ask you about this one. This is a good one for parents. It's really cool. This is new research, and it talks about how powerful it is to feel proud of your kids. Researchers found that it can significantly enhance parental well-being. But there's something even more powerful than feeling pride, so-called feelings of awe. What's the difference here, and what exactly does this do for parents?
Yes, I love this. So pride is about being very proud of the accomplishments of your child. And while that's great, the problem is if your child is not doing well, you then start to look at this as a reflection of your own parenting, and you start to question, God, is my child ever going to make it in life? Where did I go wrong? And the focus then becomes inward, right? Versus awe takes your focus outward, and it looks at your child as something amazing, right? And it connects you to something larger than yourself. It's kind of like the way you would experience awe walking by a beautiful museum or piece of architecture or piece of art or music. You are inspired. You're inspired by the relationship with your child. You're inspired by what humanity is all about. You feel connected to something larger than yourself. And we know that awe in parents is connected to better psychological well-being, quality of life, a sense of meaning, purpose, life satisfaction, in a way that pride in your child, which is wonderful, just isn't enough.
Fascinating. That
really
is very cool. Another really cool one I'm excited to talk about, that feeling when you're listening to a song you really love, you get the chills, maybe even the goosebumps. This new study says that could be tied to our survival instincts. It may have evolved to help us out. How is that so? And does that serve any practical purpose nowadays?
Absolutely. This was so cool because I was like, no, I finally get it. When I'm angry or when I'm hurt or sad, why am I turning to music? And we find that the same endogenous opioid system in the brain that is associated with pain relief and pleasure is activated, and that people, when they're listening to music, are feeling a sense of pleasure the way they may have with food or sex, and that music and the opioid receptors getting activated. The more people, the more you have opioid receptors in the brain, the more the dense they are, the more likely you are to experience the pleasure and the chills. But that maybe there is some survival benefit to this as well. So it's not just about procreating and surviving with food, but it's about pleasure and enjoyment, and what a healthy way to do it.
That is so interesting and validating to what a lot of people just sort of instinctually feel about music. Yeah. Dr. Sue Varma, thanks so much for breaking that down for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick.
Well, coming up, the cost of home ownership going up.
When we come back, how the ongoing trade war is impacting construction rates. That's next on Morning News Now.
We're back now with some not so good news for people looking to buy a house. The record high home prices that have been saturating the market are about to get even higher due to some of President Trump's new tariffs. Some experts predict prices could go up by nearly $10,000. NBC's Brian Chung has more.
If you're looking to buy your first home, you might be in for some sticker shock. From lumber to steel to copper, the Trump administration has either already tariffed or plans to tariff materials key to home building, meaning the supplies, in many cases from China, Mexico, and Canada, are likely to drive already high new home prices even higher.
We're seeing that the materials are already being priced, like the tariff is already in place, whether it is or is not.
Brent Taylor is a general contractor and president of Taylor Construction Group.
If the pricing increased by single digits, I know we as a company don't tend to go to the homeowner and even bring it up. With these current tariffs and the threat of these tariffs, I just don't see how will we be able to get around that.
Taylor has been building homes for the last 19 years. He walked us through one of his projects in Tampa Bay, breaking down exactly where he and the homeowners will be feeling these tariffs.
Drywall, lumber. Obviously, we're looking at the framing right now with the lumber that we would see in most framing jobs come in typically from Canada. That is the lumber that you're hearing about in the tariffs as far as the increase of, potentially 10% plus.
When it comes to metals, the Trump administration has said copper tariffs could be on the way.
An AC is comprised of a lot of copper, a lot of metal, there's aluminum. There's really no way around knowing that we're going to see price increases on units like this.
Mike Cogdill is another contractor based in Tampa, Florida, and says he may soon feel the pinch of higher costs from the steel he uses for roofing.
I've only had one supplier mention anything about tariffs, and that was a metal roof supplier. He called me a couple of days ago and said we're going to have a 25% increase because of tariffs.
So they raised the price on you by 25%. Would you have to raise your price on the consumer by 25%?
Well, I have to make a decision at that point. Do I just eat it and move forward? But yeah, future jobs that I'm pricing out, I would have to account for that.
The National Association of Home Builders estimates around 7.3% of all goods used in new residential construction originated from a foreign nation in 2024. And home builders estimate the combination of all these tariffs will increase the average price of each home by $9,200.
When you add on these tariffs, it's going to make it really hard to build newer homes for entry-level buyers.
Another factor that could lift prices, a labor shortage, as the Trump administration's aspirations for mass deportations threaten a construction industry where an estimated 23% of the workforce is made up of undocumented workers.
There's definitely a lesser amount of workforce. It has increased labor rates. All of these costs, unfortunately, do get passed on to the homeowner. So it's a reality that we're working through.
For a housing market that needs more homes to alleviate prices, the uncertainty still looms.
So the fear is not only real for, what I think will happen in the next, say, 10 years for my own children, but what is happening now? If you're not making six figures, how do you afford a home of any sort?
Brian Chung, NBC News.
We've got more money news for you now. Uber is under fire this morning with the FTC now accusing the rideshare giant of deceptive business practices.
Interesting. CNBC's Silvana now joins us with that and other money news. Good morning, Silvana.
Hey, Stephen. Hey, Savannah. Good morning to you. So the Federal Trade Commission is suing Uber, accusing it of signing up users to Uber One without their consent. Now, Uber One costs $9.99 a month and offers discounts on ride-hailing and food delivery. The FTC alleges Uber falsely claims users would save about $25 a month and deceive them about how easy it is to cancel. An Uber spokesperson says the company doesn't sign up or charge people without their permission. Airbnb will now display how much you'll pay for a stay, including cleaning and other fees, as soon as you start your search. The company first started showing the full price of listings in some locations in 2019 after facing scrutiny from the European Union. It later rolled out a toggle switch, but now you won't have to turn that option on when searching. And, well, being polite with ChatGPT is costing OpenAI a lot of money. CEO Sam Altman revealing users who say please and thank you cost millions of dollars from the amount of electricity that makes the chatbot consume. But he says it's money well spent. Now, OpenAI released its latest reasoning models earlier this month that can now answer questions using a wide range of tools such as web browsing, coding, and image analysis. Now, this could put the company closer to its goal of enabling ChatGPT to complete tasks all on its own, guys.
What? I say thank you. I want to be nice in case they become self-aware.
Can you imagine?
I want to.
It's costing millions of dollars. Stephen wants to be safe in case they turn into
totally.
I didn't know that. I thought it was being nice.
I agree, Stephen. I'm with you. I don't want them to get me. I don't want them to get me.
Yes, exactly. You get it. All right, Silvana, thank you.
Sure, two paranoid people, huh? All right, this morning, Shannon Sharpe, one of the biggest names in sports media, is facing allegations of rape and sexual assault as part of a civil lawsuit. An unnamed woman claims the NFL Hall of Famer and current broadcaster violently assaulted her during a, quote, rocky consensual relationship. But Sharpe's lawyer says text messages between the two tell a different story. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has more.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Club Shay Shay.
This is the Shannon Sharpe regularly seen by millions of fans.
4 seed, mustard seed, poppy seed. Lakers in 5.
But an unnamed woman is accusing the sports legend turned media titan of using his celebrity to manipulate, control, subjugate, and violate women. In a civil lawsuit filed in Nevada on Sunday, lawyers for plaintiff Jane Doe detail what they describe as a rocky consensual relationship that lasted nearly 2 years. They allege last fall, Sharpe, who is more than 30 years older than Jane Doe, violently sexually assaulted and anally raped plaintiff 2 different times in Las Vegas, Nevada, blatantly ignoring her request for him to stop. He did it again in January during an incident in which plaintiff cried and begged repeatedly for him to stop. The lawsuit also accuses Sharpe of secretly recording their sexual encounters without her consent. Sharpe is an NFL legend, a 3-time Super Bowl winner and Hall of Famer, who then turned a broadcasting career into a wildly popular podcasting empire.
We got to go places that no one else has been.
I sat down with Sharpe to talk about his success in January, just days after one of the alleged rapes occurred, according to the new lawsuit.
In order to grow, you have to be able to expand.
After the lawsuit's filing, Sharpe was back on the air on ESPN.
LeBron's going to have to be efficient. Austin Reeves going to have to be efficient.
This is not the first time Sharpe has been caught up in controversy. In September, he admitted to accidentally live streaming a sexual encounter.
My phone wasn't hacked. It wasn't a prank. It was me being a healthy, active male.
Jane Doe's attorneys say that incident humiliated her, adding he had repeatedly assured her they were in an exclusive relationship, albeit unhealthy and abusive. This was a lie that not only hurt her emotionally, it made her fear for her sexual health and the risk of sexually transmitted disease, according to the lawsuit. Sharpe's attorney says the former football star categorically denies all allegations of coercion or misconduct, especially the gross lie of rape. Sharpe's attorney also accusing Jane Doe of trying to shake down Sharpe. His attorney also releasing a series of graphic text messages he says were sent by the plaintiff, which Sharpe's attorney says prove this was a consensual adult relationship that included role-playing, sexual language, and fantasy scenarios explicitly requested by Jane Doe. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
All right, well, coming up, he was a pope for the people, known for his kindness toward even the youngest worshipers.
When we come back, we'll take a look back at his legacy of compassion. This is Morning News Now.
We are coming on the air with fast-moving developments. Egg prices spiking, as anybody who has been to the grocery store has seen. What does this mean for people? Cheap AI. Talk to me like I'm me, and you know me. How big of a deal is this?
The NBC News mobile app. Get connected to your favorite news shows. For the top stories, breaking news, and live video, download the NBC News mobile app now.
Welcome back. As the world mourns the death of Pope Francis, the 88-year-old pontiff is being remembered for his humility and the kindness he showed, especially to children around the world.
NBC News senior national correspondent and top story anchor Tom Yamas has more of the legacy of compassion Pope Francis leaves behind.
Pope Francis was a natural, and his smile contagious, championing the needs of children for more than a decade. The hugs, kisses, and blessings from across Europe, the Americas, Africa, and beyond. He captured the world's heart again and again, like this tender moment when a hearing-impaired boy climbed on stage. The Pope telling his mother when she came to get her son, if he wants to play, leave him be. Or at a baptismal mass at the Sistine Chapel, reassuring parents, let the children cry. The Pope wanted every child to know that they mattered, the sick and the vulnerable, opening his arms wide to a young girl with Down's syndrome in Washington, D.C., and visiting Ukrainian child refugees at a hospital in Rome. The plain-spoken pontiff offering youth a sense of belonging. He urged young people to, quote, make a mess, meaning he wanted them to shake things up in their parishes and make their voices heard. Pope Francis's humility and sincerity helped define his legacy, lifting children's spirits everywhere. Tom Yamas, NBC News.
A lot of fond memories there.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Tom for that. And that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning, and thanks very much for starting your Tuesday with us. I'm Savannah Sellers.
And I'm Stephen Romo, in today for Joe. And we begin with a live look at St. Peter's Square at the Vatican as the world's 1 billion Catholics mourn the death of Pope Francis this morning. The 88-year-old pontiff revealed to have died on Easter Monday from a stroke that led to heart failure, according to an announcement from the church. His body now on display in Vatican City, with the funeral scheduled for Saturday morning. We've got team coverage of the Holy Father's lasting legacy across the globe, a spiritual guiding light, remembered as a champion of more progressive values, shaking up some of the church's more traditionalist teachings. Now, followers anxiously await the announcement of who will fill Francis' role as leader of one of the world's largest and most influential religious groups. The faithful continue to gather at St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City this morning to pay their respects to the Pope. A prayer service was held just last night in front of the Basilica, where Pope Francis made an appearance on Easter Sunday.
NBC News senior national correspondent and top story anchor Tom Yamas is at the Vatican with more on how his life is being remembered. Tom, good morning.
As crowds are gathering here at St. Peter's Square, the Swiss guards are protecting the body of Pope Francis as he lies in rest, a rosary wrapped around his hands. These are the images that we're seeing this morning. And also we're seeing centuries-old traditions unfold in front of our eyes as we get a date for when the world will say goodbye to Pope Francis.
At the gates to the Vatican this morning, signs of the ancient rituals following the death of a pope now in motion. The arrival of cardinals gathering to finalize funeral details, and eventually the conclave, where a successor will be chosen. Overseeing it all, the Carmalengo, American Cardinal Kevin Farrell, hand-selected by Pope Francis. He and other cardinals were on hand as they sealed the doors to the papal apartment using a red ribbon and wax, certifying the death of the Pope. The Vatican also releasing these images, the first sight of the Pope in his coffin at a private ceremony for close friends and family in the chapel of the building where he lived. The Pope's coffin set to be transferred to St. Peter's Basilica on Wednesday afternoon, ahead of the public funeral this Saturday. The Vatican confirming the Pope's cause of death in a statement: stroke and irreversible heart failure. The pontiff also suffering a coma. Outside of the streets of Rome, Catholics gathering to pay their respects.
He's in our hearts. He's with God right now.
Including a rosary prayer service in St. Peter's Square. Across South America and Europe, Africa and Asia, Catholics remembering the life and message of this pontiff. Even in Gaza, a mass was held for the Pope, who prayed for peace in the war-torn region. Until the end, Pope Francis remained dedicated to his ministry, despite recovering from serious illness, making a surprise appearance on Easter Sunday.
He taught us that who we are is more important than what we can do.
President Trump announcing that he and the First Lady will attend the funeral.
He was a good man, worked hard, he loved the world.
In his final testament, Pope Francis confirming his wish to be buried in the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore.
This is where Pope Francis will be buried. It's where he came before and after every papal trip to pray. And now Catholics will come here to pray to him.
But first, the faithful will pay their respects at St. Peter's and remember the man who taught the world by his example.
He always wanted to be with his people and inspiring us.
Right now, cardinals from all over the world are meeting in what's called general congregations. They're talking about the funeral planning, the future conclave, and of course, the direction of the Catholic Church after Pope Francis. Also, to recap, we now know that tomorrow, Pope Francis will be brought here to St. Peter's Basilica for his funeral, which will happen on Saturday at 10 a.m. local here at the Vatican, 4 a.m. Eastern. Leaders from all over the world are expected, including President Trump, as we mentioned, and First Lady Melania Trump. Reporting from the Vatican, Tom Llamas, NBC News.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Well, as the world honors the life of Pope Francis and prepares to say goodbye, the next question is who will be the new leader of the Catholic Church? NBC News correspondent Molly Hunter is at the Vatican with a look at the ancient tradition of choosing a successor and some of the top candidates and who they are. Molly, good morning.
Steve, Savannah, good morning to both of you. As you just heard in Tom's piece, the cardinals from around the world are descending now onto Vatican City. Now, the meetings have already started, and this week the meetings are focused on the details of the funeral and this week. But pretty soon, all eyes will be on the conclave. Take a look.
This morning, cardinals are descending on Vatican City from across the globe, pushing past the world's media, who have also descended to their first meeting. Of the 135 cardinals under the age of 80 eligible to vote in the conclave, the vast majority, 108, were appointed by Francis, including more than 20 from places that had never had a cardinal before.
This is going to be a very open process, it seems to me, in which two things are most important. One, does this man communicate a vibrant, energizing faith? And secondly, can he govern?
As the Catholic Church grows in Asia, Cardinal Luis Tagle from the Philippines is a frontrunner to be the first Asian pope. Referred to as the Pope Francis of Asia, with a heavy focus on social justice and caring for the poor. But at 67 years old, he's on the young side. Or will the Church stage an Italian comeback of sorts after 3 successive outsiders in recent decades? Italian Cardinal Pietro Parolin is 70. He's an experienced Vatican official with serious name recognition. He served as Francis's Secretary of State, but he lacks pastoral experience. Another Italian, Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa, is also on the short list. At 60, he's lived for the last 3 decades in the Middle East, currently serving as the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem.
An Italian comeback?
I think right now, Molly, nationality means nothing in this. It would be very foolish to think of them as a united bloc.
Or will the cardinals determine the Church requires a conservative voice rolling back Francis's progressive agenda? Cardinal Peter Erdo, at 72, is a leading conservative from Hungary, supported among the European cardinals, and is close to Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. But it will all come down to the voting. The conclave gets underway 15 to 20 days after Francis's death. The cardinals sealed off inside the Sistine Chapel until a new pope is chosen.
Now, Stephen, one of the interesting things about this group of electors of the cardinals who are coming into town under the age of 80 is they don't actually know each other that well. So much of the next 2 weeks will be getting to know each other before, of course, deciding who is best to lead. Stephen?
All eyes will be watching. Molly, thanks so much.
So true. Well, let's continue to look behind the scenes at Conclave with NBC News contributor and Vatican correspondent for the National Catholic Reporter, Christopher White. He is in Vatican City, as you can see as well. Christopher, good morning. So what are the qualifications someone needs to meet in order to be considered eligible for the papacy? It's kind of funny to ask a question like that, almost like, you know, what you need on your resume. But,
right.
but there are some real things here. Tell us what they are.
Well, I mean, for starters, the folks who enter the Sistine Chapel that go into conclave to elect the next pope, they vote among themselves. So you typically have to be a cardinal to become pope. There are some exceptional circumstances, but I don't think we'll have to go there in the days ahead. So these are men who are under the age of 80. That have the right to participate and vote in the conclave, and that is their main job as a cardinal. That is the first line and really the only line that matters on their job description.
And let's talk about the general congregation itself. That's the period before the conclave. It's actually where a lot of the movie Conclave actually takes place. In that, the cardinals give these speeches, and it seems very dramatic. How does that actually work?
Well, the general congregations are these closed-door meetings where they really talk about the needs of the Catholic Church. They make a fairly honest assessment of where the Church stands, what issues are facing them, where they think this Pope or Francis succeeded, and where they thought he fell short. And they'll start talking about what sort of profile they want in the next Pope. And it's only after that then we'll really start hearing some names surface. I think they'll first come up with a job description and sort of what their priorities are before they start looking at particular candidates for the job.
You've also mentioned in interviews, I think this is so interesting, that these cardinals don't necessarily know very much about each other or spend any time prior together until an event like this happens. What will make someone stand out? And tell us a little bit more. Stephen mentioned like some of these kind of passionate speeches, but like what goes on in order for them to get to know each other and therefore choose who they think the next pope is?
Well, there are the formal congregations, these meetings, where they'll have coffee breaks and they'll give formal speeches. But it's really at night when they get to know each other, when they're breaking bread, having dinner with each other. This whole period is, in a sense, an audition. This is when they're kind of kicking the tires around and saying, you know, could I envision this person as Pope? Do they share my priorities? And it all has to happen in a very short amount of time. And mind you, the internet will play a role in this conclave more than any other conclave before, because they'll be looking and reading about each other online before they even come face to face. So there are so many variables in this equation that I think we could have some real surprises ahead of us.
It's so bizarre to think of these cardinals Googling each other before they meet because they know each other so very little. That is fascinating, Christopher. Also, there's so much discussion about Pope Francis and his more progressive direction for the church and where the church is going to go next. I know you mentioned, I think it's 80% of the cardinals were actually chosen by Pope Francis. Will they likely continue in this direction, or do you think that they could choose someone who's more traditionalist?
It's fair to say the Catholic Church is at a crossroads right now. Do they want to continue on the path of reform that Francis initiated to sort of reform the church's structures to make the church more welcoming and more inclusive? Or do they want a course correction? Do they want to go back to a time where doctrine is really what matters and where they spend a lot of time focusing on what you can't do? Pope Francis rejected that vision of the church. We'll see what the cardinals think in the coming weeks.
All right, Christopher White, fascinating conversation. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, President Trump is defending Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth after he once again shared sensitive information on a Signal group chat. That is according to two sources with knowledge of the matter, confirming to NBC News that Hegseth used his personal phone to share information about U.S. military operations in Yemen, and that chat included members of Hegseth's family, including his brother, who works as one of his advisors. Now, this comes just weeks after it became public that Hegseth shared details of strikes in Yemen in a separate Signal chat. NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake joins us now with the latest on these developments. Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Stephen. Yeah, look, the administration's second signal scandal shares some hallmarks with the first. It involves sending sensitive information about the same March airstrikes in Yemen, two sources say, by the same cabinet official, Pete Hegseth, this time with roughly a dozen people, including family members, included on the chat. And also, like the first scandal, President Trump is so far standing by his defense secretary, even as calls for his resignation continue to grow.
This morning, amid growing calls for the defense secretary to resign, President Trump is defending Pete Hegseth.
Do you remain confident in Pete Hegseth?
Oh, totally.
President Trump.
Why do you even ask a question like that? The spirit in the armed forces is fantastic. No, great confidence.
Dismissing Hegseth's sharing of sensitive military information in a second group chat ahead of U.S. strikes in Yemen. Hegseth appearing with his family at the White House Easter egg roll.
I have spoken to the president, and we are going to continue fighting on the same page all the way.
Overnight, a prominent Republican lawmaker joining calls from top Democrats for Hegseth's resignation. Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon telling Politico, quote, "I find it unacceptable, and I wouldn't tolerate it if I was in charge." Adding, foreign powers like Russia and China are likely to be monitoring the Secretary of Defense's phone, and, quote, "He's acting like he's above the law, and that shows an amateur person." NBC News has confirmed Hegseth shared sensitive information about U.S. military operations in Yemen last month on his personal phone in a Signal group chat with 13 people, including his wife, as well as his brother and his personal lawyer, who both hold jobs at the Pentagon. That's according to two sources with knowledge of the matter. The sources adding an aide had warned Hegseth not to share sensitive information on an unsecure communication system before the operation. The New York Times, which first broke the story, reports Hegseth shared flight schedules for U.S. military jets targeting Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. One source confirmed that to NBC News. Hegseth deflecting questions about that reporting, instead attacking what he called disgruntled former employees at the Pentagon, appearing to refer to 3 top aides he fired last week.
You know, what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out.
And Garrett, more news involving the Trump administration. Harvard University suing the administration after the government said it was freezing more than $2 billion in grants. What should we know about that?
Yeah, Stephen, look, this is Harvard's response with the lawsuit to the White House freezing those $2 billion in grants to the university after Harvard refused to accept administration demands for institutional changes they say were aimed at addressing anti-Semitism on campus, things that included audits, even banning international students with certain viewpoints. Harvard says those demands by the administration are an illegal overreach by the federal government and that they have nothing to do with anti-Semitism. And they say this freeze puts at risk crucial medical, scientific, and technological research. The White House is responding this morning with their view that, quote, Harvard fails to meet the most basic conditions required to access federal funds. Now, this is just the latest in what's been an escalating battle between the White House and elite universities over control of campuses around the country, with more developments sure to come. Stephen?
All right, more to pay attention to. Garrett, thanks so much.
All right, well, U.S. stocks will be hoping for a rebound this morning after suffering another bad day on Monday.
Yeah, all 3 major U.S. indices closed more than 2% lower yesterday after President Trump escalated his attacks on Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Also weighing on the markets, the ongoing uncertainty surrounding the president's tariffs.
NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans joins us now. Christine, great to have you with us. So tell us what the president said about Powell. We know it was this sort of lengthy post on social media, and what he wants to see from the Fed.
Really escalating his complaints and his criticisms of the Fed chief, calling him a major loser, saying he's too late and that he should be lowering interest rates. Cut rates now, in all caps, he said, NOW. And the issue here is that the Fed chief, he doesn't report to the president. He is appointed by the president, and Jerome Powell was, of course, in his first term. But he doesn't report to him. It's an independent body where they look at the data and try to do what's best for the economy, not what's best for the president and for his political polling. So you have a president here who many are watching from the outside saying it looks as though he's trying to pin the blame on the weak economy that could come from the president's own tariffs on Powell, saying, oh, they just didn't cut interest rates fast enough.
So, Christine, clearly investors care a lot about this, these things that the president is saying about Jerome Powell. Clearly, they want the central bank's independence. Why is that so important? Why does this move the market so much?
You know, it really is a corner of independence at the Fed is a cornerstone of the stability of the U.S. financial system, and it is the envy of the rest of the world. When other countries fall under the persuasion of a president, for example, and cut interest rates, and it's not the right time, it can tank their currency, it can actually spike their interest rates, it can spike inflation. So, you know, the U.S. is sort of the cornerstone, the stability. This just threw more uncertainty in the whole pot. Wait, is the president going to undermine the independence of the Fed? Just another reason investors said, sell America, sell stocks, sell bonds, sell the dollar. We don't agree with the direction the United States is going.
It's not just the president's criticism of Powell that's weighing on the markets, but of course also trade turmoil, tariffs. What is the latest on the dispute with China? Because it seems like kind of ad hoc we are hearing, oh, I might make an exception for this, I might make an exception for that. What is happening now, and what's the latest with how that's impacting Americans?
I think ad hoc is a really great way to look at it, and what the market is looking for is a strategy and is looking for some certainty, and businesses want to be able to plan and know what's around the corner. Is it going to be a curveball? Is it going to be a carve-out? Is it going to be extension? Is this country going to get special treatment? And we've got a 90-day period that we're in the middle of. July 9th, I think, is the end of this 90-day period, which was, of course, the pause on those, what the president called reciprocal tariffs. And there's no real progress. There's not a trade deal that looks like it's ready to be launched to give some relief to investors. So there's just a surplus of uncertainty and a deficit of confidence right now, I would say, among investors. And the U.S. used to be the leader of the world, now really kind of has become the problem in the global economy.
Christine Romans, our expert in-house. Thank you so much.
Well, the Supreme Court will hear arguments today from a group of Maryland parents who want to get all of the LGBTQ plus content in their kids' elementary school curriculum out, saying it violates their religious freedoms. This comes after the court heard arguments in a separate case just yesterday that also raised religious questions. This one was related to the Preventative Services Task Force set up as part of the Affordable Care Act.
2 Christian employers and several individuals are challenging the panel, saying it forces them to be complicit in facilitating, quote, homosexual behavior. The panel is made up of 16 experts that recommend preventive care services that insurance companies have to provide at no cost to patients. It can include medications to prevent the spread of HIV.
NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos is here with more on this. Danny, thanks for being with us. So let's start there. The issue in this case, whether the members were constitutionally chosen for this. What should we understand about this?
This case is actually not very much about religion or the First Amendment. The issue really before the court is the Appointments Clause of the Constitution, which says that all officers, principal officers, must be appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. Very interesting, because in the last year, this issue came up when Trump and his defense team challenged the appointment of Jack Smith, the special counsel. Now, strangely, they're kind of taking an inverted position to what they did back then. So the argument here has virtually nothing to do with religion. It has virtually nothing to do with the expression or exercise of religion. It's whether or not this task force, the members, the 16 members, whether they are principal officers, and if so, they need to be appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate, and they were not. And at least one brief has argued, well, one of the fixes for that is just get the president to appoint 16 members and confirm them by the Senate, and all of this will go away.
So this task force, it does a lot, I mentioned, for preventive care, and totally kind of unrelated to the other subject matter here, things like cancer, diabetes, heart disease. What would happen to current services that Americans get if the court decides that this panel is unconstitutional?
Well, the challengers are asking that all of their acts, everything they've done, be invalidated, because if they were unconstitutionally appointed, then everything that they did pursuant to that appointment is invalid. But, of course, the other side's pushing back and saying, well, you don't need to invalidate everything. Yes, it may be the case that these are principal rather than inferior officers. And yes, it may be the case that they have to be appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate. However, just because that may be the case, some of their work may remain. And that is sort of a secondary dispute here that's at issue before the court.
Let's turn to that Maryland case now. This group of parents who want all LGBTQ plus materials out of their kids' curriculum in elementary schools. A federal judge and an appeals court both ruled in favor of the school board. Those arguments set to be heard later today. What are they arguing?
This case will likely boil down to the difference between 2 words: exposure and coercion. For parents who choose to send their children to public schools, constitutionally, the school probably cannot coerce them into believing something or training them in something that's against their parents' religious wishes. But the Supreme Court has never held that mere exposure to objectionable materials, and objectionable is objectionable by the parents, mere exposure to those materials is not necessarily the same thing as coercion. So those two magic words will be at the forefront of this dispute.
It's really clear. It makes sense. Yeah. Danny Savalas, thank you so much. Well, spring is in the air today in some places, with temperatures warming up for most of the country, and they're likely going to stick around until next week. It's good news. Let's get a look at how warm it may get in your area with a look at your Morning News Now weather.
Meteorologist Angie Lastman is here. Hey, Angie.
Hi there, guys. Spring has sprung. I've been waiting to say that for so long in the Northeast, and today is one of those days. But it's a lot of folks that are going to see mild temperatures across the country. We've got that stretching across parts of the Rockies, out towards the east, across the Midwest, and then, of course, up and down the East Coast, we're seeing mild temperatures. New York City set to hit 78 degrees today. We've got 80s for Atlanta and Wilmington, as well as Dallas and Wichita, upper 70s for St. Louis and low 70s for Denver. So not a bad day when it comes to our temperatures. We've also got the mild air sticking around for tomorrow across this area. So 79 for Columbus, still into the 80s for Paducah and Birmingham. We've got upper 70s for both Philadelphia and Roanoke. And these temperatures essentially will stay fairly mild even as we get closer to the end of the work week and into our weekend. We'll see a bit of a dip. New York City ends up into those low 70s by Thursday and then kind of hangs out into the mid 60s by the time Saturday rolls around. We'll still see the 80s in place across Memphis through the end of the work week and be near 80 into the weekend. 90s on tap by Saturday in Tallahassee. And then we've got Omaha and Indianapolis ending up into those upper 60s by Saturday. So not bad considering we've been dealing with this kind of roller coaster ride of chilly temperatures back to mild temperatures across much of that region. So we're going to stay mild for a little while longer. Here's the big picture with your satellite and radar, though. We've got some active thunderstorms happening across the Midwest and parts of the Southeast, but it's the plains that we're specifically going to watch today as we get into the afternoon hours and eventually into the evening hours. In this area, you see shaded in yellow. So stretching from parts of Kansas down to the Texas border, we've got Lubbock, Amarillo, and Wichita all included in there. We could see some of these supercells developing large hail, strong winds, potentially some isolated tornadoes, all a possibility across that region. A smaller area for tomorrow, mainly focused across Texas and a sliver of New Mexico. Some of those same kind of threats will be there. And on top of that, we received just an incredible amount of rain yesterday across parts of Louisiana. Specifically, you've probably seen some video coming out of New Orleans where we were seeing that flooding. And that flood threat is going to remain for our day today as well. We could see the potential for another kind of ample amounts of rain, guys, in that region, upwards of 5 inches. So we'll watch for that to occur here as the day goes on.
All right. Angie Lastman, thank you so much.
Well, nearly a year after former New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez was convicted on bribery and several other charges, his wife, Nadine Menendez, has also been convicted for her role in that scheme. She was found guilty yesterday of teaming up with her husband to accept bribes that included gold bars from 3 New Jersey men looking for help with business and legal issues. They were supposed to be tried together, but Nadine Menendez's trial was postponed after she was diagnosed with breast cancer and underwent surgery. Her sentencing is scheduled for June 12th, just 6 days after her husband is expected to begin serving an 11-year prison term.
We've got much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the brewing debate over artificial dyes in America's food supply. We're going to dig into a new push by Health Chief Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to ban them from your favorite snacks.
But coming up first after the break, some scary moments on the tarmac for hundreds of people on a Delta flight yesterday. They were forced to evacuate after an engine burst into flames. How the airline is responding this morning. We'll be right back.
We are back with an FAA investigation into what caused the engine on a Delta Airlines jet to catch fire at Orlando International Airport yesterday. It happened just as the plane, which was carrying nearly 300 passengers and crew members, was leaving the gate. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello covers aviation, of course, and has the latest.
Yeah, certainly some very scary moments for the passengers on board this plane when fire broke out on the number 2 engine, the right side engine, fire spitting out the back of that engine. Thankfully, pilots were able to quickly shut the fuel off to the engine. Firefighters on the scene very quickly as passengers were evacuating down the emergency slides. Holy shit. It happened at Orlando International. Fire shooting from the right side engine on Delta Flight 1213. The fully loaded Airbus A330 had just left the gate headed to Atlanta when a little boy suddenly jumped out of his seat.
I mean, he started jumping up, pressing the call button and saying, there's a fire, there's a fire, there's a fire outside.
As pilots quickly shut off fuel to the engine, 282 passengers began evacuating. But with fire on the right side, they could only go down the left side emergency slides. When a rear slide malfunctioned, passengers panicked. Channing Wells on board with her 9-year-old son.
So you had everyone in the back of the plane in a panic trying to rush to the front. And then all of a sudden you start smelling the smoke and different things like that. And then everyone was panicking.
As firefighters doused the flames,
please do a handoff between the firefighters and yourselves as passengers deplane at the rear of the aircraft.
passengers gathered on the airport ramp. Thankfully, no injuries. Meanwhile, just a few hours later, another Delta flight declared an emergency, returning safely to Orlando after losing cabin pressure over Jacksonville. Delta apologized and reaccommodated all affected passengers, the latest in a string of aviation incidents, including engine fires in Houston and Denver, and crashes in Washington and Toronto. Passengers might understandably be a little concerned about flying after a series of high-profile incidents.
The passenger concern is understandable, but it remains that flying is absolutely the safest way of moving from one place to another. It's the safest transportation system ever designed by humankind.
So now back to that situation in Orlando. Safety experts are concerned that so many passengers appeared to grab their duffel bags, their overhead bin bags, their backpacks when they were getting off the plane, despite flight attendants saying drop everything and get out. Safety experts say you're simply delaying yourself and delaying passengers behind you from evacuating a plane with a fire, and that is a very big no-no and a very big concern. Back to you.
All right, Tom Costello. Oh, scary. Thank you so much.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says he's ready for direct peace talks with Ukraine for the first time since the early days of the war.
Yeah, big news. NBC's Matt Bodner joins us with that and some other world headlines. Hi, Matt. Good morning.
Savannah, Stephen, good morning. President Putin told his favorite Russian state television reporter that he is open to direct negotiations with Ukraine on a ceasefire. This is actually the very first time he has signaled this since the very early days of his invasion. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has recently and repeatedly said that Kyiv is also ready to negotiate with Moscow, but he has not yet responded directly to Putin's latest remarks. Both sides are under pressure from President Trump to make a deal, or else the U.S. will walk away from the effort entirely. Moving along now to New Zealand, the local right-wing populist party, known as New Zealand First, has introduced a bill to Parliament that, if enacted, would define women and men by their biology. This would prevent trans women and men from being recognized illegally. New Zealand First is a minority coalition partner in the nation's parliament, and the bill's odds have been described as a long shot. And we'll wrap up this hour right here in the UK in the fourth running of Scotland's now annual Corgi Derby. This started back in 2022 to mark the 70th anniversary of the late Queen Elizabeth's rise to the throne. The Queen was famously a huge fan of corgis. She owned almost 30 of them over the years. And the big star from this year's event is Juno, a 4-year-old corgi who defeated 16 other racing corgis, all of them wearing bright sweaters, I should mention. Juno heroically came back from behind the pack to overtake Rodney. That's last year's winning corgi, and that all happened on the final stretch. Juno's award and sole motivation, according to the owner, treats. Back to you guys.
I love that video. We should just keep it up the rest of the show.
Yeah,
it's hard to beat that.
I'm here for it.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Coming up,
Regina delivers.
Quick punch in there. We love that, Regina. Thank you. Coming up, a high-profile legal redo to talk about that's getting a lot of global attention.
After the break, what we're expecting when Karen Reed returns to court today as opening statements in her second murder trial begin. Stay with us. That's next. Welcome back. Jury selection is set to continue this morning in the retrial of former Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein. Weinstein was found guilty of third-degree rape in 2020 and sentenced to 23 years in prison. But last year, a New York appeals court overturned that decision. Now, this new trial will not only consider the original charges, but Weinstein now faces an additional count of a criminal sexual act in the first degree. That is based on a new allegation from a woman who was not part of the earlier trial. He has pleaded not guilty and denies wrongdoing.
Well, later today at a Massachusetts courthouse, opening statements are set to begin for Karen Reed's second murder trial.
Yeah, she is accused of killing her boyfriend, who was a Boston police officer, by running him over with her car.
NBC News senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett joins us now for more on this. Laura, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. The jury is different this time. Some of the lawyers may have changed, but the basic facts and the allegations all remain the same, except this time prosecutors want to use Reed's own words against her, while her team still says she's been framed.
This morning, a legal do-over in a case that has captured global attention, with Karen Reed set to return to court today for the start of opening statements in her second murder trial.
I have no choice but to be ready. I feel strong. I've got an amazing team, and I'm anxious.
Reed is accused of hitting her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her SUV, leaving him to die in the snow after a night of heavy drinking. But Reed says she's innocent. The first trial ending with the jury deadlocked.
I'm declaring a mistrial.
After the defense team argued she was framed by law enforcement.
She's a whack job.
With text messages from the lead investigator looming large.
Ladies and gentlemen, there was a cover-up in this case, plain and simple.
That claim of a setup spawning legions of devoted supporters rallying at the courthouse.
Free Karen Reed!
And online, tracking every twist and turn in the case for more than 3 years.
It's like a movie. It is, and it leaves you torn.
Reed's case also a trending topic on podcasts.
This is shaping up to be a very different trial than the last one.
And the subject of recent documentaries, including a new one on Max.
It's been like living in purgatory.
Showing Reed's reaction last year, moments after the judge declared a mistrial.
I just walked out of that courthouse halfway free. It's better than being in jail, but it's untenable.
This time around, some changes, as the state hopes for a different result.
Good morning, Your Honor.
The prosecution adding a former criminal defense attorney who once represented the late Boston crime boss, James Whitey Bulger. While the defense, in a move virtually unheard of, adding an alternate juror from Reed's first trial, who has expressed frustration with the prosecution. Reed saying this about the new jury that will decide her fate.
Very pleased, absolutely. Yep. And I believe they're truthful, and they were questioned thoroughly.
Laura, how long is this trial expected to last?
Yeah, the judge is predicting it could last up to 6 to 8 weeks. Some of it's going to depend, though, on how the prosecution decides to try this case. Last time there were a ton of witnesses. We might see a tighter presentation this time around. But, guys, there's going to be a big question about whether she actually takes the stand this time. She didn't last time, but now there's this doc from HBO Max that she could be questioned about. If she does take the stand, it's tricky for her.
Ooh, really lots to watch. All right, Laura.
Such a talker. Thanks, Laura. Yeah. Well, coming up, ditching the dyes.
Yeah, when we come back, we'll dig into a new push from Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to ban artificial food dyes. So what kind of effect might that have on your favorite snacks, maybe cereals? We're taking a closer look next. Welcome back. Turning now to your money news. Amazon pushing back against vendor price hikes tied to Trump's tariffs. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other headlines. Good morning, Silvana.
Hey, Stephen, good morning to you. So Amazon is pushing some vendors on price hikes. The Wall Street Journal reports Amazon has cost support agreements in place to ensure it makes consistent margins on products it buys from vendors and sells to customers. Now, those who've tried to charge more for items since President Trump's tariffs went into effect are finding they're responsible for paying the company to make up the difference. Now, this helps Amazon keep prices low while shifting the burden of tariffs onto suppliers. Amazon has declined comment. The number of people falling behind on paying their credit card bills hits a record high. Data from the Federal Reserve shows just under 1% of accounts were delinquent at the end of last year, or at least 90 days past due. That's up about 0.2% from 2022. Now, only about 11% of cardholders are making minimum payments. Americans are typically behind on their bills in January and February following the holiday shopping season, but are better in March and April as they use their tax refunds to pay down debt. And Chipotle is heading south of the border. The burrito chain plans to open its first restaurant in Mexico early next year. It's partnering with a company in Mexico City that operates Domino's, Starbucks, Burger King, and other brands in South America and Europe. And the move comes as President Trump's tariffs on Mexican imports could hike costs for Chipotle's U.S. locations, especially for tomatoes and avocados, Stephen.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah,
I like
very,
Chipotle.
very interesting.
Authentic Mexican food, though. We'll see how they can compete.
Right. We'll see. We'll see
a
what
lot of
happens.
complications. Silvana,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, nearly 30,000 runners surged up Boylston Street to finish the 129th Boston Marathon yesterday. Only one became the new queen of the course. This is the moment. Kenyan Sharon Lukidi crossed the finish line, shattering the women's record on the most iconic stage of one of the world's most historic races. And we are lucky now to be joined by Boston Marathon's latest champion. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us. Your second major marathon victory. You won in New York just 3 years ago. Boston, though, arguably sort of the most iconic race of its kind in the world. How did it feel crossing that finish line?
It felt really awesome. I was here last year. I got second, so I really needed to. I wanted to come back and make sure, I get the win here. As you said, it's very historic, so it was really nice just winning and, crossing the finish line and winning. So it's amazing. It's a good feeling.
That is so exciting. I can't congratulate you enough for that. That must be an incredible feeling. Boston, of course, is known for the challenge of the rolling hills that you face along the way. You managed to beat that course still by 2.5 minutes. So if you could tell us about your preparation for this and what goes through your mind when you're sort of side by side with people for a few miles and it's not really clear how it'll shape up.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but just making sure you're getting in a good training, having really good support with you. I have a really good team back in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I have support of my company, and having the right shoes and training gear, I think help a lot. And also just training and getting the hills and making sure you're getting the good terrain to train. I think that helped a lot. And then, coming back here and then being out on the coast and having to compete with such amazing women and, being able to hold on to the hot pace from the beginning and just having the support of people of Boston all the way through. I think that was really cool. And, just crossing the finish line and winning it was a bonus, honestly.
And speaking of amazing women, you also have Susanna Scahn with you, who won the women's wheelchair. Congratulations to you as well. Tell us, what is your training like as you go through this, Susanna?
Thank you so much. I also am very fortunate to get to train at the University of Illinois, which is our national training center for wheelchair racing. And so I've had incredible training with male and female athletes that help push me every day. And a lot of experience coming here to Boston. And so I also just had a wonderful day yesterday in a really strong field and very grateful.
I can't imagine how exciting that is. What is going through your mind, Susanna, whenever you cross that finish line?
I was just so shocked, honestly. We had such an awesome field out there, and I felt so strong when I was able to make a gap, and so much gratitude and excitement as well.
Yeah, I'm sure nothing compares to that. It's got to be an incredible feeling there. And I'd like to ask about, I want to ask you about this moment here. You're hugging your mom after you win this, and I just can't imagine what she may have said to you in those moments. If you could walk us through this moment that we're seeing here on the screen right now.
She was very excited. And the first thing she's my biggest inspiration. So when I crossed the line, all I could think about is where is she? And all I could see is just her sprinting to me. And it was just giving me a hug. And she just kept saying, "Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Sharon." So it was amazing. And, just winning and her being there. And it was so cool. She's so happy, and I cannot she even yesterday afternoon, she's still crying. It's so.
Oh, I love that.
It's amazing. Yeah.
An incredible moment that you both had. Thank you both, Susanna and Sharon, for sharing those experiences with us. Just can't congratulate you enough. It must be an incredible feeling.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Well, this morning, we're diving into what our foods could look and taste like without artificial colors. This afternoon, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is expected to announce a plan to ban artificial food dyes. Earlier this year, the agency banned red number 3. That's the bright red color used in a wide range of candy, snacks, and drinks. Chief Consumer Investigative Correspondent Vicki Nguyen has more.
At Chew in Boston, candies, chocolates, and sodas get their bright colors from natural sources like cabbage, turmeric, and beets.
So this is purple carrots and beet juice.
It can make food look the same as the red dye?
Yes, it can. With the right dilution, concentration, and intelligence, yes.
And is it much more expensive to use this?
No.
CEO and founder Adam Malonis says Chew has partnered with some of the biggest companies in the world to create more than 5,000 food and beverage products over the past decade, all without artificial colors.
Why is so much food in the American diet made with artificial colors and flavors?
In short, because they're easy, they're cheap, and they are exciting.
But he says natural dyes can be just as vibrant because food technology has come a long way and the pigments are added with the flavor removed so they don't really affect the taste. Look how these gummies made with carrot and beet juice compared to these gummies colored with red 3.
You don't need to go the artificial route when you can see that the natural route works.
This is the brightness of the Canadian version, just for visibility. And this is the brightness of artificial food dyes.
Jason Karp, CEO and founder of the company Human Co., which makes several natural food products, went viral when he testified to Congress last September. He showed how American companies are selling the same products without artificial dyes in other countries, including the popular cereal Fruit Loops.
You could hear a gasp in the audience because most people have never seen the cereal that's sold abroad. I think everyone was outraged.
The maker, Kellogg, has not responded to our request for comment. Some companies are already working to remove artificial dyes from their products after the FDA announced a ban on red dye number 3 earlier this year, following a review of a 1980 study that found tumors in rats that consumed high doses of the dye. While the agency says there's no connection between red number 3 and cancer in humans, a 2021 California report also linked the dye and others to hyperactivity and restlessness in some children.
Well, I think this is just a call to action for all of us.
Dr. Janine Villela says consumers should be aware of the potential additive effect of what they're eating. Think of how many artificial colors and chemicals are in a day of meals, from breakfast and snacks to drinks and desserts.
Should consumers avoid foods that contain these ingredients?
I think consumers should think about what they're putting into their bodies and really try to have whole, nutritious food.
Food makers like Malonis and Karp hope red number 3 is just the start.
I'm hoping this becomes essentially the canary in the coal mine, and that we can begin to eradicate the artificial wherever we can.
For now, consumers can look out for red 3 and other artificial dyes on ingredient labels.
If people demand more natural versions of things and they buy those products and they reward the companies that are doing the right things, those companies will grow and you will see more and more options for the consumer that are safe.
Our Vicki Nguyen reporting there, and she tells us it's not just food makers who will have to do away with red dye number 3. Medicines like some cough syrups and pain relievers also have that dye, and they will have an extra year to phase it out under this new FDA ban. Well, coming up, staving off extinction. After the break, the fight in one southern state to save one of the world's most critically endangered species. That's coming up next on Morning News Now. And we end this hour with a fight to save one of the most critically endangered species in the world. There are less than 20 red wolves still living in the wild, and all of them are in North Carolina. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda met up with a team of vet students at NC State that's pulling out all the stops to prevent this uniquely American species from going extinct.
You know, it's hard to believe, but we're in a city tucked in the heart of Raleigh, North Carolina, a fight to save a little-known species. So this is the newest arrival.
Yes, this is our newest arrival.
We were there as Dr. Tara Harrison and her veterinary students at NC State welcomed their 10th red wolf, the most endangered wolf in the world.
About how old is this wolf? She's about 2 years old.
They're hoping she'll eventually breed with one of the males already in their care.
So the wolf isn't sedated at all? She is not sedated, so we're just doing a brief entry exam. So like looking at her eyes, make sure that she's all good.
And what are you listening for?
I'm just listening to her heart and lungs. Our students will listen, and then I follow up, so that way, if there is a medical problem, I might be able to find it, or I verify something that they found.
Thousands of red wolves used to roam the eastern and south central United States, but today fewer than 20 exist in the wild, all in eastern North Carolina. The Fish and Wildlife Service monitors the remaining red wolves using collars and trail cams, capturing even the youngest's movements. There's a growing effort to boost those populations by breeding pups in managed care to then be transferred to the wild, all part of the national Saving Animals from Extinction, or SAFE program.
So it's not just NC State here working on those conservation efforts?
No, the Museum of Life and Science, the vet schools, zoos, nature centers, wolf sanctuaries around the country. There's 50 of us that house red wolves. We can't do it without each other.
There's pine needles and herbs.
It's a dream opportunity for vet students Caroline Deal and Sean Hubbard.
Yeah, so we're trying to encourage natural behavior, things like hunting and foraging.
Who walked me through enrichment activities like stirring up spice-filled ice cubes for the wolves to find.
So we're just going to kind of bury them around in different spots in this enclosure. Maybe over here. What was your reaction the first time you got to work with a red wolf here? I feel like the best word is captivated.
We get to watch the next generation of wolves and thinking about how those wolves could one day be running wild and free. It's really special moment for us.
At 45 to 80 pounds, a red wolf is between the size of a coyote and gray wolf, known for the hint of red in its coat.
They are so well camouflaged with those trees back there.
They're doing what they do best, is blend into their environment.
Though even when you can't see them, you can hear them. There has been some pushback around rebuilding the apex predator's numbers in the wild, with questions concerning safety, property rights, and livestock.
What do you say to people with those concerns?
They are hunting the small prey that's natural in that habitat, and they want to stay as far away from you as possible. So by maintaining them, it actually helps decrease other populations that would be termed nuisance. So like your coyotes or excess rodents.
Road signs in North Carolina warn of endangered red wolf crossings, as car collisions, habitat loss, and gunshots pose serious challenges to the animal on the brink of extinction.
Do humans have a responsibility in building up the population of red wolves?
100%. If humans were responsible for a species' demise, humans are responsible to help restoring it to what it originally was.
Emily Ikeda, NBC News.
Wow, had no idea. Very cool. Emily, thanks for that. And that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But your news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.